Ever since Microsoft announced their intent to buy Activision Blizzard, there has been many questions and concerns raised around this deal. There are two big questions that stands out. Will Activision and Blizzard games become exclusive to Xbox? And even more important than that, will this make Xbox a monopoly within the gaming space? Now the short answer to that is a massive no. Xbox is currently in the single digit numbers when it comes to market share, and even with this purchase they will still only be number 3 with about 11 to 13% of the market. In order to be a true monopoly, you need to be at least 50%, and not even the number 1 Sony along with the number 2 Tencent teaming up with Microsoft will make them reach that percentage point. In an interview, CEO Natya Nadella himself spoke on the issue by stating that the company was still behind both Sony and Tencent in terms of revenue even after the deal is done. He stated that the gaming market is structured in such a fragmented way that all 3 of these giants' revenue share is still in the early teens. As such, making the case for a monopoly will be very hard. But then moving on, the pandemic has been very hard on many people as well as many companies, especially those who manufacture electronics. Although the demand for Sony PlayStation 5s has never been higher, they are struggling to keep up with a lot of the demand due to a chip shortage. Due to this, Sony fell short of their targeted sales and had to reduce their numbers. Sony sold 3.9 million PlayStation 5 consoles in their last quarter, which is really high and great, but they were also down from their previous third quarter where they sold 4.5 million consoles, and as such they had to lower their forecast from a potential 14.8 million consoles sold to 11.5 million. The Sony gaming division made $7.08 billion last quarter over a 4-month period. That is a decline of about 8% year over year in the same quarter. Sony also cut their sales forecast for the gaming division in its current factual year by 170 billion yen, or about $1.5 billion US. As you can imagine, this did not go over well with investors, and as a result the stocks for Sony dropped by about 6%, and this was on top of the 8% drop that they experienced earlier this month after Microsoft announced their acquisition. In total, about $25 billion US was wiped away. Now Sony is still in extremely strong position and the king of the gaming world. Their stock price losses is an overcorrection in a volatile market, and it will eventually even out again. Them not meeting their PlayStation targets is due to a supply issue and not demand, and with them slated to have a massive year in 2022 with some of the biggest games, it means that they will be able to bounce back very easily. Market analysts did raise one concern though, and that was the rising competition from Microsoft. With Xbox approaching the gaming market differently and building up an ecosystem, Sony will be forced to respond. Now Sony did do just that with their own Game Pass alternative, but only time will tell how successful that service will be. Strong AAA games has always defined Sony and kept them on top of the gaming world, and hopefully they can remain a giant in the space. Then Xbox just announced a bunch of brand new games that will be making its way to Xbox Game Pass this month. Added yesterday was Constrad, Dreamscaper and Telling Lies. On February 10th, Besiege, Crossfire X, Edge of Eternity, Skull and The Last Kids on Earth will also be added to Game Pass. MLB The Show 2022 will also be included on Xbox Game Pass day and date, marking it the 2nd year in a row that it has done so. Then the problems for Battlefield 2042 just continues to get worse by the day, with the company admitting that the game did not meet any of their expectations. In an interview, the company CEO stated that many things went wrong with the game, including the fact that many of the employees were working from home. He also stated that while they were in the testing phase, some of the changes that they made to the game was very well received, but once players started to test released the game in its entirety, it was quickly discovered just how broken it really was. There were also some design choices that did not resonate with the community at all. Now the good news for EA is that Battlefield makes up a very small percentage of their profits. FIFA continues to grow every single year and it is worth billions of dollars for the company. On top of that, they have Apex Legends, which is also a very big title in its own right and continues to grow every single day, going from strength to strength as they add more content. EA admitted that Battlefield was a disaster and that they are also still confident that DICE might be able to turn the ship around and they will stay committed to the game. Now one thing that they declined to do was give any actual sales numbers and just stated that it was lower than expected. But then moving on to a moment of instant regret, Team 17, the studio behind the classic Worms, announced and unannounced within a day that they will be including NFTs in their game. The developer announced that they would be teaming up with a company that would turn their Worms into NFTs that will be sold on the market. As you can imagine, this move was heavily criticized by the community as well as writers and developers that works with the company. One such developer made a statement and said, "We believe NFTs cannot be environmentally friendly or useful and really are just an overall grift. Please do not harass employees at Team 17 or the devs under their umbrella, as the decision seems to have taken everyone off guard and likely come from the very top. Needless to say, we will not be working with them on future titles and encourage other indie developers to do the same unless the decision is reversed." Another also spoke out and said, "We have no interest in utilizing NFTs in any aspect of our business now or in the future, nor do we endorse the use of NFTs in a wider world. In light of this, please be respectful when engaging with staff and community managers unwittingly affected by NFTs announcement." The company finally responded and said Team 17 is today announcing an end to the Meta Worms NFT project. "We have listened to our Teamsters, development partners and our games communities and the concerns that they were expressing, and therefore have taken the decision to step back from the NFT space, and that is pretty much the end of it. NFTs will no longer have a presence within this team's game."